Hello. No one watches these anyway, but I'm doing it on Facebook, I believe, only because once this has been done, I will then edit it, do what I do to it, and then put it on YouTube and take it off Facebook. But then it's really getting better at doing what I'm doing. Today's been a funny old day because I've spoken to a few people, not as many people as I'd like, but a few people, and it got me thinking. Based on some of the questions I couldn't answer, do this and answer some questions based on my theory, based on my belief. First of all, and this got me thinking with my ex-wife as well, why does a narcissist act like nothing happened? Ever? Answers on a postcard? Let me tell you. Basically, layman's terms, it all boils down to piss poor emotional memory. That's right, folks. That's right. If I could tell you that's right. And it is right. Let me show you something. Let me show you something here. 1 minute. I'll just try and do that. And then if I go, where is it? It's not going to let me do it now, is it? Entire that window. No, that was it. Hopefully, you should be able to see that now, hopefully. But this is basically the brain of a non-narcissistic person and a narcissistic person. What you got to remember is the parts on their brain that are responsible to or for the emotional part of the brain, this emotional memory, is damaged. And this damage shows up very clearly in the brain cell scan. See those empty circles in that mesotemporal lobe. That's where emotional memory is stored, and people who suffer from cluster B personality disorders just can't do it. They are impaired in their ability to remember what previous experiences felt like. That's why they have trouble learning from their mistakes, and that is why each and every time they fall into love, they will think that they have found the one who will save them. They haven't, of course, found the one, but they just can't remember being so in love before in their lives. So they tend to act on that feeling and that moment, and their maladaptive relationship pattern continues. The advantage of this weakness in emotional memory gives them is that they can get over emotional pain quickly and easily. Certainly much faster than and easier than the neurotypical person can. Like all of us, they project, they assume that their victims can and do get over emotional pain so as quickly, as easily as they do. They act like nothing's ever happened. They assume that it's just you got over it. Whatever it is, whatever it was that they did, they cannot grasp the idea that that emotional injury can have that long-lasting permanent effect on the neurotypical person. They assume, like them, that you can get over anything. To them, nothing happened, and that's because they struggled to recall what it felt like. If you object to their belief that everything is copacetic between you both, and you will hear the chorus of, why can't you just forget about that? Or why have you always got to bring that past up? And you're too sensitive. And all the other unempathetic things and unsympathetic attacks that you are bound to come your way when you are dealing with a person who lacks both empathy and sympathy. Don't beat yourself up over it. You're simply dealing with a person whose emotional memory is severely impaired. Now, that got me thinking, because I'm quite self-aware, or I try to be self-aware, and I've realised recently, I was at a festival a few months ago, and a bit of an epiphany, and I was like, oh shit, I sat down, I don't like talking to people, I'm really sort of socially awkward. I thought I was socially awkward, and I thought I was, and maybe that. But then it got me questioning why. I never used to be like that, I don't think. But then I did some research, and it turns out, thinking about it, myself and the result of autistic abuse or narcissistic abuse is why I behave the same way. Why I leave. I'm socially awkward, or why I like being around people. Why don't I trust people? And I've done some research, and that blew my mind. Yeah, so here I'm going to give you 5 main reasons why you prefer to stay at home after narcissistic abuse. Narcissistic abuse can turn you into a loner, a person who prefers isolation over the company of others, including friends and family. Why? You struggle with the symptoms nobody understands. The social anxiety, the social awkwardness, agoraphobia, fear of being judged, fear of being understood, and fear of being taken advantage of. The entire world becomes so dangerous, it's impossible to explore. What do you do as a trauma response? You choose to stay by yourself. Loneliness becomes a constant companion. But unfortunately, others don't understand that. Others label you as egocentric or an introvert or someone with no social skills. But today, I'm going to prove to you why it's okay to be this way and what you can do to try and get over it. Being at home means having control over your surroundings, and being at home means having control over your environment in a positive way. We're not talking about narcissistic control where everything has to go your way. We're talking about predictability and certainty. Being at home means comfort. The comfort your bed offers, the same spot on your couch where you sit and relax and watch TV without having to deal with people because your soul is drained. You're going through soul fatigue, I think that's what I call it. And interacting with others feels inauthentic because you don't have the energy. So you prefer to stay inside those four walls because it brings you peace. Others might ask, don't you get bored? Or don't you want to talk to others? Or perhaps not. You ruminate and sit with yourself, which gives you space to process everything that the narcissist did to you. That's also a reason why you might not want to see others or go out. You try and dissect the entire relationship to see them for who they are, whether or not you do it successfully or is a different question. It's a positive control. It's about positive control, not about having to deal with judgmental, demanding, controlling, or pushy people. You do things at your own pace without anyone yelling at you or belittling you. You don't have to walk on eggshells. That may sound boring to those who haven't been through what you have, but to you, it's a dream come true. Now, how do I know this? It's been my life for a long time, at least 4 years, at least 5 years, pretty longer since the relationship ended, to be honest with you. Never really, and I don't think I ever will get over it. And that has contributed to a lot to my healing journey. It's your own space and you can claim it. The autonomy, freedom, peace, and serenity becomes alien to survivors of narcissistic abuse. When the narcissist lives in the same place, we don't have a safe corner to go to. We may have a few minutes or hours in the bathroom, but that's all we have. That's all we get. They disturb us even there. They don't let us sleep. We have zero autonomy, freedom, identity, or personality. It's gone. But when you move into a new space, even a small one-person cube, that can be more than enough. I remember feeling like the first room I rented was my empire, my palace, and it was just like a small room with a small bed and a kitchen. But I felt peace, and nobody was banging pots around or slamming doors, and nobody was hitting each other verbally or emotionally. It was silent. The autonomy and freedom become so alluring. Continue with it. You may struggle from agoraphobia, the fear of crowded places, small spaces, or even around many people. Maybe you have auditory sensitivity and loud noises hurt your ears. A lot of people talking at once can be overwhelming. So it's triggering, and that's why you don't know who to respond to first. The demand for attention can be unbearable. I've been there. What is exciting for others may be daunting for you. That's why I used to avoid big shopping centres or theatres or clubs or shopping complexes. Social anxiety and social awkwardness also stop many narcissistic abuse survivors from going out. The origin of these issues is that the male treatment of the narcissist, you were never able to have a proper conversation with them. There was always an error, a problem with your choice of words, tone of voice, or the way you describe a situation. It felt like talking to a wall. There was no listening or validation. They silenced and suppressed your voice. This made you anxious about opening your mouth and saying anything. It led to introversion and altered personality. This is my personal experience. There is coherence in my speech now. But in my formative years, I used to stutter a lot more. It was not a lack of confidence, but the presence of terror in my body. My parents would mock me, slap or punch me while talking, and taking the centre stage, so to speak, stopping me from expressing myself. Your social anxiety and awkwardness comes from that trauma. Your survival brain keeps you safe by stopping you from initiating conversations, which can be detrimental, but it's a way of protecting you. When at home, narcissistic abuse survivors can control their time. They can choose when and how to engage with others, mostly virtually, if working from home. This allows them to decide the medium and schedule. When physically present with others, you are compelled to stay, unable to tend your own wounds. At home, you can decide when meetings happen and how they should happen. This freedom helps avoid social anxiety and allows full self-expression, because there is a barrier between you and those watching or listening. The solitude of safe space facilitates deep healing. Our nervous system are overwhelmed beyond capacity. Our window of tolerance for stress is narrow. Small things can push us out of this window, making us anxious or causing us to freeze. When hyperstimulated by people or tasks, we can't function well, impacting our performance. Healing requires stabilization of the nervous system, maintaining a consistent and predictable routine and environment. This creates a sense of safety and allowing access to rational thinking, decision making, and growth. This stabilization is a way that we stay in our safe spaces, especially during the initial phases of healing. In conclusion, what I'm saying is, my goal for this video is not to normalize, was to normalize self-isolation and the preference for staying at home. It's not a curse. Society has its standards and expectations, but you should question them. Are they fundamentally narcissistic? Why are you expected to be there or act a certain way? Freedom is not just from the narcissist, but from everything narcissistic. Use your experience with the narcissist as a catalyst to move on. All I can do is hope that this video was a little bit insightful. Let me know if you have any other comments or thoughts and feelings on it. Until next time, peace and love. Lila's glove. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.